Ladies and gentlemen, just when I thought that the stench of victory would wear off by now on Monday, it is not. All right. The Buffalo Bills are 3-0, and we have missed you. I know that we didn't have an episode on Thursday, but damn, it is so good to be back to unpack not only that game, but also sort of look into the future. I saw some graphic on social media earlier today where it posted all 6 teams in the NFL, and it posed a question: which team will remain undefeated the longest? Got to tell you, man, maybe it's the homer in me. I feel like it's the Bills, but we're going to be unpacking that and many other things on another edition of the Bills Roundtable. Jake, what's going on, man? Bills bunker. I lost you at the tailgate, bro. I felt horrible. I knew that you were having service issues over there. What's going on, my friend?
Things get busy out there in the trenches at Highmark Stadium, and the Buffalo Bills got busy. Emerged victorious yet again. Love to see it. 3-0 start, and we're going to dive into that here tonight. Feeling great about the 3-0 start, and we're ready to move on. Next up, we've got some NFC South opponents.
So one thing I'll say, bro, like you are a fucking tree, my friend. What are you, like 6'5"?
6'5", yes, sir.
6'5", dude, holy hell, man.
If you look at the measurements for Josh Allen, same size as him, just half the athletic ability, maybe half. We'll see.
No. Like that was probably my biggest shock when I met you in person. I was like, holy shit, dude. Holy hell. Like my boy should be suited up out there, man. Dude, put him on the practice squad reps. Well, hell.
I'm waiting for the Bills to give me a call still. So I'm ready to sign up for the practice squad anytime.
That's what I'm talking about. Kev was one of the few that we didn't have an opportunity of running into, man. I missed you out there, bro, but it was chaos. I should have texted you during the tailgate.
I did follow along with all your updates. I made sure to get at TD for all of the updates he had and comment on Richie and stuff. But it's cool to see you guys here. I'm glad that you guys at least enjoyed your time. Looked like your suite was nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
So that was pretty cool to see. But yeah, miss hanging out with you guys. It was close by, but I don't think I could make. You were over at the other side of the stadium, so I was trying to get migrated my tail. It was a bunch of people. It's always a cluster.
Yeah.
So that's the problem when you go with like a bunch of people, and then you're responsible for like 8 other people.
Yeah.
Jake knows, but he seems to always figure it out.
Yeah, most definitely, man. We started off with the Hammerlot, and then with Jake was actually featured on Amazon Prime. He was featured in the promo video of him eating a wing, which was hysterical. And then we went over to Game Day Hospitality Tailgate, which is super cool. Was all inclusive. Like, was a content creator fiasco, though. Like, literally, like you saw just about everybody there, like, doing their thing. Really, anybody with a social media following, for the most part, was just vibing. Right? It was definitely a cool time. Z-Bot, what's up, man?
Cool time indeed. What a week that was. The W wasn't as easy as I think we thought it was going to be. And even in the beginning of that game, I think we thought it was going to be easy, right? The Bills offense carves them up 2 straight drives.
Yeah.
Went a little south for a little bit, but ended up, listen, for these Buffalo Bills, south anymore is a 10-point W scoring 31 points in a divisional game. So that's basically what we've come accustomed to. The only way we can get upset now is in games where the Bills do not win by 20 plus, which is incredible. It's a great place to be. But what a week it was. What an event it was. Game was awesome. 10 out of 10. And shout out to you, Dan, and all the Roundtable boys. That was as good as it gets. That was an absolute blast. So great to meet so many of the people who were able to come out to that. That made my entire year, being able to meet everybody, put some faces to names that we've been talking to for a long, long time. So awesome stuff. 3-0. And you kind of alluded to it, Dan. Only 6 teams remain undefeated, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to argue any other team remaining undefeated longer than the Buffalo Bills with what they have coming down the pipe.
Who knows, man? Maybe Indiana Jones and them Colts got something to say about it. You know what I mean? Biggest surprise of the NFL season. I'm just kidding. They're probably getting belt to ass with from LA next week. But regardless, I think that we've had plenty of time to unpack everything we witnessed from the game. And I think one of the biggest narratives is, regardless if Buffalo wins, there's always going to be some people that are a bit upset. I think one of the biggest complaints I've seen on the internet was indeed third down defense, right? And we basically allowed this Miami Dolphins team to, score 20 plus points on us, where one half of football, like over 50% of the pass attempts from Tua, were behind the line of scrimmage. So I think I kind of want to go around the table, and then each and every single one of you can sort of give your thoughts on this. Is this something that's going to be a trend for us? Was this part of the scripts? and some other takeaways of us going 3-0. Starting off with Kev. What do you got, man?
Look, like, it's a division game, and you're never just going to trounce every single division game in every building and every week on every day of the week. They know each other. The Dolphins were playing for their life. They know exactly what they want to scheme. 1.4 yards per air throw is something that'll point to. That was Tua's numbers. 10 behind the line of scrimmage. 7 tight end wide receiver screens that were at or behind the line of scrimmage. Their numbers where they were trying their best to keep Josh Allen off the field, and they were trying their best to shorten the game and to convert with 4 to 8 yard throws, mixed in with a couple to a third down conversions with his legs, mixed in with him scrambling around like he was Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. A couple of situations where he's playing a little bit differently than he normally plays, but pretty much you had McDaniel put a different type of governor on him to where he was doing anything possible to prevent a turnover, to prevent extra possessions for Josh Allen, and he was able to do so until the 57-minute mark when he couldn't help himself but to take yet another curl route, another route that was around 4 to 6 yards, 3 to 8 air yards there on that throw, depending on exactly where that would have gone if Bernard wasn't there. But guys, it's a matter of these guys get paid too. I thought the Bills offense was pretty efficient, and they were a part of the issue in the third quarter or into the fourth quarter where they were getting stalled themselves. Dolphins defense came ready a little bit toward the end of the game to what they were adjusting to. The Bills were running into heavy boxes with Jackson Hawes with 13 personnel. A couple of things that the Bills wanted to put on film of what they're able to do now with their 3 tight end situations. So ultimately, you win by 10, and Zebot already said it. You win by 10, and that becomes a pretty south game for the team. And all in all, you missed a field goal, 2-possession game most of the way if you made that. It's just little stupid things that kind of made that game a little bit closer than it needed to be. But most mainly, 20 Bills pressures, you wouldn't feel like it. And a lot of people hate the pressure stat. But that was part of what 20 pressure stats, 120 yards throwing, guys, by Tua before the garbage time, 30 seconds left. You got another 30 on that random end of the game. 120 yards, 3.6 yards per attempt. You're talking about stuff that's just garbage, and it didn't feel like it. It really didn't, even to me at times, until I checked my numbers. But 20 pressures, and you had a day from Daquan Jones, which, unless you watched the film, it wouldn't have popped for you. It's just a matter of how good the defense played, but it didn't feel like it. And it certainly didn't feel like it on third downs. They do need to correct some of those third downs. But the Bills were, I'll leave it with this, the Bills were really good on first down. They were really good on second down, like top of the league good per EPA. So a few more corrections, a few more talent influx that's coming back in the next 3 weeks. And even Sean McDermott finally pointed to it and said, Ed Oliver would have made this a different game in our opinions in terms of third down. And yeah, they're missing one of their best third down players in Ed Oliver. So ultimately, I'm happy with the performance. Data comes back positive, even though in stretches, it certainly didn't feel like it at points. But did anyone ever feel an alarming sense of that they were going to lose that game? Because I didn't.
No. I feel like it didn't help that like we had that one Dolphins fan sitting directly behind me and Zebot. That was, oh my God. He knew how to get under our skin, man. He
TD?
was screaming. No, it wasn't TD. No. It was somebody else. Shout out to that guy. He's the man. But damn, he knew how to get under my skin, man. I was absolutely swarming. He was like, yo, messed up, like over and over and over again. It was like a broken record. It about killed me. Jake, thoughts, biggest takeaways from the game? Are there any concerns? Go off.
Yeah, I felt that the Buffalo Bills were pretty conservative in their play calling, especially in the second half until they really needed to pull ahead in this game. Defensively, the biggest takeaway for me was not allowing anything really deep down the field. This is a pretty high octane Miami Dolphins offense. Yes, we know there are some deficiencies there. They're not really world beaters, but they have some talented players. They got some guys on that offense. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane. They got some guys out there. Longest reception, but longest completion by Tua in this game was 19 yards. So I love that. The Buffalo Bills, they're giving some stuff, but they're not allowing anything too deep. And you got some explosive receivers there. So I really like that. Allowing 21 points, still winning the game by 10 points. I'll take that in any AFC's divisional matchup.
And to say that the Bills' definition of a bad game is 30-plus points, then, hey, you know what? We're just spoiled around here. Z, your biggest takeaways from the game, dude?
Well, spoiled we are, that's for sure. We were getting a little nervous. I can't lie. I mean, the fact that the Dolphins were not getting sacked and not turning the ball over was starting to get alarming, because you're looking at a team that is susceptible to doing that constantly against Buffalo. They weren't able to get home, and that third down defense was infuriating. I mean, every time that they got in third and long, you were almost anticipating they were going to get it. And that was what was really frustrating. They end up finishing the day 10 of 15 on third down with a fourth down conversion. So you have 11 of 15 drives that reach that point that they end up converting on. The majority of those third downs were long. I mean, me and Dan kept looking at each other like, if they get this one, I'm done. If they get this one, I'm running through the glass of this box. And like, they just would get it. And I'm like, oh my God. It was just every single time 7 yards or longer. And it was consistent. It was the same thing. It was an out route towards the sideline, or they would make a play that you're not used to them seeing. That is Tua running to the left side and making a throw on the run. You don't see Tua do that, or scrambling to getting a first down. You don't see them do that. It was those couple of moments where you're like, man, the Dolphins really don't do this stuff. Maybe it feels like it's their night, but me and Dan all throughout the night just kept saying, look at, man, he hasn't thrown the pick yet. He hasn't thrown the pick yet. And then right before he threw it, Dan's like, I'm feeling it here. And sure as hell, he threw the pick. And the same thought I had was the same thought Dan had, the same thought TD had. He hadn't thrown a ball over the middle of the field the entire game. And right when they got in position to do something that they've been incapable of doing against these Bills, and that is just pull off an incredible game-winning drive, potentially put this game away, he made the mistake. I mean, you got to give credit to Deion Walker, who absolutely smokes his guy off the snap. There's not a thing Tua could have done to have avoided that pressure, right? But it doesn't change the fact that Tua in those moments is susceptible to doing that perhaps more than any other quarterback, especially against the Bills. And in that moment, you look at Bernard, he had talked about it, right? And that's a moment where he studies on film what they're looking to do there. It's exactly what Tua wound up doing, and it goes in the hands of Bernard, and the game's over, right? I mean, and then you got to give credit to the Bills for going down, icing that game away. Matt Prater, who had a terrible kick early in the game, he makes that kick. He ends it. This was a short week against a divisional opponent who, Kevin, mentioned it perfectly. There's a difference between a divisional opponent or a bad team and a divisional opponent who's basically in the corner already in the third week, right? This was a do or die game. They had to have it. And from what you could tell, Miami really did everything they could in this game to win it, and they still lost. I mean, they wouldn't have signed up for a more efficient game from Tua. All game long, he was essentially doing the exact same thing, nickel and diamond, taking the outside read, moving the chains, just kind of moving down the field incrementally. We've seen him in the past try to go for the shot, or try to go for the shot play. It ends up burning him early, and the Bills wind up putting him away by halftime. You got to tip the cap for being willing to stick to the game plan. The problem is he went away from it when it mattered the most. But these Buffalo Bills, once again, a game where it was a weird game. We kept saying that weird game, because Josh Allen was great. Then all of a sudden you look at the stat line. It's like, man, he only has X amount of yards. But then James Cook, once again, another game where you can just rely on this guy to carry the load in ways that the Bills weren't capable of doing just a couple of years ago. So the last thing I'll say here is I'm looking at a Saints team who just got absolutely embarrassed by a Sam Darnold-led Seahawks team, right? And I'm looking at that game and I'm saying, if the Seahawks are capable of doing that, then what are the Bills going to be capable of doing? And the response is, well, we were saying the same thing about the Dolphins. If you think the Dolphins are as bad as the Saints, I don't know if you've watched. I think that the Saints, on paper at least, have far more talent than that of, the Dolphins have far more talent than that of the Dolphins the Saints. I'm getting that all jumbled up. The Dolphins are far more talented than the Saints. And on top of that, divisional game 0-2 they're facing. The Saints were facing the 0-2 mark themselves, or the 0-3 mark themselves this past weekend, and got smoked. That season's over. Now this upcoming week in Buffalo, you're telling me as a 16.5-point favorite, we're going to get a similar snooze fest from Buffalo? I don't see it. I don't see it at all. We got Miami's best punch here, and the Bills still beat them by 10 and nearly covered that double-digit spread.
So one thing I can say, Z, I know now why you don't do live play-by-play reactions. You told me that when you watch, you're just so locked in. I would see Z-Bot visibly upset when Miami scored. I couldn't even get a word out of him, each and every single time. But hey, you know what? We walked out with the W. I feel like all of us should be pretty excited about that. You mentioned Deion Walker. who I must say that I am pleasantly surprised. I thought coming out of college he was going to be a developmental guy, but again, he just finds himself making plays. I'd probably credit a lot of the interception to him, right? He definitely did something wonderful with his reps. Who are some other key players, or like who are some of the player of the games to y'all based off of a rewatch? And so I know me and Zbot were talking about it. I much prefer watching these games at home on TV because I had no idea how many yards that each and every single play was going for from our vantage point. Like I was finding myself watching the replay and the scoreboard the entire time. But after a rewatch, I got a couple of guys that I'm really, really excited about, mostly guys that had to step in for some of the players that were out. I'm going to start off with Jake. Jake, who were the players of the game for you, offensive and defensive side of the ball?
Offensively, I mean, outside of Josh Allen, we're going to go with Dalton Kincaid here because Dalton Kincaid, this is someone who maybe not the player of the game, but what I'd like to see most is him elevating his gameplay because we know what happened last year. He had a tough year, suffered an injury, wasn't really able to live up to the expectation that was built for him after his rookie season. So already here in 2024, we've seen him catch the first touchdown of the game against the Baltimore Ravens. And then early in the Miami Dolphins game, he responds with his first touchdown and the Bills' first touchdown of that game, ties it up early. So I'm loving to see Dalton Kincaid featured in this offense early and often, and hopefully he can continue grooming into that tight end that the Buffalo Bills envisioned him being as a former number 1 overall pick here.
He's finally being that dude. You know what I mean? Last year, a lot of us knew that Josh Allen was struggling from a chemistry perspective with Dalton Kincaid. It's nice to finally see him at least show signs of improvement throughout the first 3 weeks of the game. Kev, thoughts, man? Who stood out to you? Who should we be excited about? Who should we be worried about?
I think one person that's taken some heat at times and may hold a larger cap is Daquan Jones. He was great. I don't think his film goes noticed heavily in this game, but he was a difference maker. He was disruption up the middle, and him and Daquan Jones combo with Deion Walker has been really good for this team. That's why he's getting the start for Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver is your natural 3-tech, and you're seeing Deion Walker be more of that 3-tech, and what they're unlocking with each other and at the same time has been efficient. Daquan Jones was good. He was a game changer in this game. Didn't record a pick 6, fumble 6, blocked field goal return to the house like Jordan Davis or others that we were able to see this weekend. But he was very, very good. And the pressures will equal sacks. I feel it in my bones. They did it against the Jets in terms of that. And the Jets were supposed to have a good O-line. These pressures will turn to sacks. The Bills have only sacked Tua 2 times in 4 games. It's not the game plan against Tua Tagovailoa. It has never been. That is not that he gets the ball out of his hands anytime he plays the Bills. He looks for mismatches and he tries his best. That's never been the focus. Guys, Daquan Jones is a guy I'd like to point out as being super efficient in this game. 6 pressures, was one of the best players on the field in stretches, was good against the run. Ultimately, I think he needs to be checked because he takes a lot of heat when we don't see some of the metrics and the numbers and where has he been? He was really good in this Dolphins game, even if sometimes it doesn't feel like it. And Greg Rousseau was better than Bills fans want to give him credit for in this. He was told to edge contain in a couple of these games this year. He was told to not let things bounce outside. He has some specific assignments, and he's done it pretty efficiently. I'd like to see the sack numbers come. That's what he's paid for. I do think you'll start to see some of that come into fruition here. Now the Bills have gotten off to a commanding lead. They're going to be able to pin their ears back and hopefully be able to see the fruits of some of these pressures that everybody wants to see because it's coming and it's coming quickly. That's my prediction.
And so how about old man Shaq Thompson filling in for Matt Milano too? Quality.
Can't say enough.
Quality.
And Dan, to answer your question, Dorian Williams is an issue. He's not good.
Yeah.
He's not good in coverage. He's not a good backup. He's a fine special teamer. You can use him in certain situations. He's a liability across the field, up and down the field. He's not good to the point where I need his reps to go to Shaq Thompson. So he's the biggest issue as we join in on this Matt Milano injury. It looks like no injury reserve, so hoping for 2 weeks maybe. But Dorian Williams is an issue. I'd like to see all of his reps go to Shaq Thompson.
Shaq, just go on ahead, stay healthy, man. We have the Saints on Sunday. I know everyone's sweating that one. Zbot, thoughts? Your biggest standouts offensively and defensively?
I think you might be shocked at how many people are sweating that game. I mean, you go look at the comment section on one of my most recent tweets. I said, I think the Bills might beat these guys by 70. Go look at the comment section. I wouldn't dare be caught saying that after this Dolphins game. Humble and hungry. Folks, come on. Watch the Saints. Are you kidding me? I'm not saying that they're literally going to beat them by 70, but if you think, there's a world this upcoming weekend. I mean, I guess maybe there is a world. I'm getting the Browns being brought up as an example. The Browns defense might be the best in the NFL. That's a reason why they end up getting that game as tight as they end up doing against the Packers and winning it, which was unbelievable. This was an insane weekend of football. There's just a lot of, not to call anybody out, but I'm just saying, I think that there is a lot of people who are not necessarily as gung-ho on the idea of the Bills covering a 17-point spread this weekend as maybe you would think. And I just think that in Buffalo against the team whose season's pretty much already over, who a Seattle Seahawks team just did whatever they wanted against, not to mention on special teams too, they did whatever they wanted in this game too, which was incredible. But in terms of this game, Miami and in totality here, I gotta double down on what Jake said on Dalton Kincaid. This is the most yards he's had in his career through 3 games, most receptions, and he's already tied his touchdown total from the last 2 seasons in 3 games here. We were waiting for that step, right? And how about through 3 weeks? We've already seen Keon Coleman have a career game, and we've seen Dalton Kincaid take that next step, be a reliable target, a go-to guy for Josh Allen. He had the play of the game in this one, that unbelievable throw down the sideline where he caught it. It wasn't the best ball from Allen, and Kincaid was able to extend, catch that ball, and stay alive and get into the end zone. He's been terrific. This is the best start to his career that he has had thus far, and his touchdown numbers through 3 games, if you're already tying the total you've had the previous 2 years, we'll see. I think the sky's the limit so far for Dalton Kincaid. And, even in a moment where Keon Coleman wasn't as great as we saw in week 1, Khalil Shakir got his time to shine in this game. He's been a bit quiet. He had his touchdown and, of course, a couple of moments in the middle of the field where he was just wide open. Been loving the implementation of Elijah Moore. It hasn't been frequent, and it hasn't been, like, oh, my God, look at this guy. But they're utilizing him in moments where I think that it's perfectly done, and I think he's had a positive impact through 3 games that you might not be expecting during training camp, because we were just like, man, I don't know what this is. We were having conversations about Elijah Moore, right? What's that going to look like? And is it going to be anything the Bills are going to be able to capitalize on? And I think through the first couple of weeks here, you've seen some moments where they've been able to take advantage of him, including at the end of the game there, getting him open in the middle of the field and essentially icing this football game. The defensive side of things, outside of the general scope, the one moment that stood out to me the most was leaving Tre'Davious White in one-on-one coverage with Jalen Waddle right in front of the end zone, and it was basically a soft zone. I mean, you're going 5 yards into the end zone here. Tre'Davious White was backing up towards the uprights, and Jalen Waddle was just wide open. I don't know if that was a lack of communication. Not necessarily sure what the result of that play entailed in terms of what they were trying to do there, but that was just too easy. And if you go back and look at some moments, by the way, from the Dolphins, better quarterbacks are going to be able to take advantage of some moments that the Bills left on the table that just were not capitalized on by Tua Tagovailoa. So I look at that as one moment. The injuries have to be factored in here, but once again, this team does what they have to do against certain opponents. You look back at the Jets game, they didn't do a whole lot. They won by 20. You look at this game, it wasn't all that great in a variety of different ways. They won by 10. So they have yet to play a perfect game, not even close. In fact, they really haven't played a great game. They played a great fourth quarter against the Jets, the Ravens. They played a great first half against the Jets, and they had a couple of great drives and a couple of great moments against the Dolphins. This team has not put together their best effort, and I think that's a good thing, staring at 3-0 with the schedule they have coming around the corner.
For sure. Just game plan to win. No need to show all of your cards during this schedule. That is for damn sure. Folks, I need to give a giant shout out to one of our proud partners today. That show happens to be our good friends Picasso's Pizza. Folks, if you are hankering for some Buffalo pizza, you got to check out Picasso's. Best pizza in Buffalo, New York, hands down. I had the opportunity of getting it Wednesday evening right before our massive event. Delicious as always. But say that you're not in Western New York, have no fear. You can actually deliver this right to your front doorstep, regardless of where you're located in the continental United States. Simply just go to picassospizza.net and hit that nationwide shipping button and place your order. It works great for gifts all across the board. We have a couple of Patreon callers backstage. Let's go ahead and see what they have to say. James Goldsmith, you're on the line. What's up, man?
Hey, back to the defensive tackles. So, like you guys, I mean, I thought Daquan was great in that game, and I'm thrilled with how Walker is playing. Although I did think he was getting beat up a little bit early in the game. My question though is, they've burned two of Logue's three call-ups with the two division games, which I like because they needed them. But if they don't play at Oliver this weekend, is there anything to be said for trying to save Logue's third callback for another game? Maybe even the Patriots. I think Drake May has always played well, or played well last year against the Bills. And is there some way to is Jordan Phillips just completely washed? Or could you steal a game with him taking some snaps at DT? And also, I read a lot of people who were saying they wanted to see more snaps from Walker and fewer snaps from Sanders. But I question whether at the end of the day, Walker would be quite as effective with more snaps play. I mean, he's more of a match with Daquan, I would have thought, than a more of a Daquan-like player. So I know that was a little rambling, but I mean, it's kind of like you got Logue, you got Sanders, you got and you've got Walker. Is there something they should do to tweak it while they have a game that frankly shouldn't be terribly competitive coming up?
Interesting. James, we appreciate the call, man. That's great. You know, for me, it's kind of hard for us to see us signing Zion. Like, not unless this team is completely bought in on like moving away from Ogunjobi. I highly doubt that. I don't know. Like, maybe they switch it up and they start bringing Phillips in. I just don't see a world where we do sign Laug, especially since we have Ogunjobi ready to go after the bye. Thoughts, guys?
That was my exact thought. You got 3 games coming up where you're going to be at minimum a touchdown favorite in all of them, I would imagine. The Falcons, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw that insane stat that was going around, how Michael Penix has not won a game with Atlanta with the team scoring more than 7 points. I know that they looked good week 1, right? They had Tampa Bay down to the wire, but who hasn't had Tampa Bay down to the wire? It's almost like Baker Mayfield is just waiting for you to allow him to have a game-winning drive for him to beat you. He's got 3 consecutive game-winning drives in the first 3 weeks. So I know Atlanta might stand out a little bit, but it's Monday night. Allen usually rises to the top in prime time, and I just don't think that that's an overly great football team. Bijan Robinson could have a good day against Buffalo, but I still think that the Bills are the superior team. Regardless, they'll be favored by probably 6, I would imagine, on the road there. So you're looking at a touchdown favorite or more in these 3 upcoming games. To that point, right, you just mentioned it, Dan, you're getting Hoyt and Ogunjobi off of suspension after those games. So do you want to burn... Do you kind of want to go a different route than you were anticipating over this stretch here? This is where I look at it a little bit differently, and I say probably not right now. I feel like you want to keep the cards in the deck for the moments that you feel like you're going to have to utilize them the most. And it's not to say you're overlooking these teams, but I think you're watching the last couple of weeks here where the Bills aren't really showing you their full vest. They really aren't giving you the entire deck at face value because they know they're going to be better than their opponents, and they're going to be able to beat you in ways that might be more vanilla than it would require playing against the Eagles or the Chiefs or whoever else. So I don't think that they do anything drastic over these next 3 weeks, especially when you're considering the players you're getting off a suspension there. And I know in particular, Hoyt was having a great training camp in preseason, and we haven't seen him, of course, in a full regular season game yet. So I think that you might wait that out a little bit just based on what you have coming down the stretch here.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off of it, Zion Logue's run reps were bad. So I did watch his reps, and I don't believe he is correlated at all with run stop, in my opinion, at least in his run reps and his run rush win rate. So how effective he's been against the run. He had a pretty poor game, honestly, along the ways. He did not follow up that Jets performance with a good performance. I believe you're correct. They could call up Jordan Phillips. If they don't, Jordan Phillips could be. Here's the difference. Last year, Jordan Phillips played snaps for the Bills. The Bills are deeper now, finally, than having to worry about Jordan Phillips being more than a player coach, and maybe in a pinch you can call him. Maybe that week is this week. But with Larry Ogunjobi coming back, who's a natural 3-tech, I don't think Logue will see many more reps. So you can go ahead and burn him in the first 6 games if you'd like. I also think the plan's to see Ed Alver very soon. Obviously, they didn't put him on IR, so it's not this week. It's absolutely next week. So I think it's maybe a 1-week kind of discussion that we're having. But Fedarian Mathis is a guy that they liked in the draft, went super high. Probably higher than the Bills would have liked. He's a guy to watch out for. He's a guy that could get called up. They've liked some of his reps. They obviously signed him to the practice squad from Washington, the 47th overall pick in 2022, a draft in which they've seemed to like depth prospects in that draft pretty heavily. So they may have had him onto their board, but didn't have the opportunity to select him. So watch out for Mathis being called up too in one of these games now that he's had the extra week or extra half a week to prepare. But he's probably the most natural run stopper, or 312, 604, 312. He's a guy to watch out for, in my opinion, and you could utilize him. But I did not like Logue's reps to follow up with what he was able to do in that Jets game. So he was a pretty big liability in his run reps. So that was kind of disappointing to see. And it's going to have to change. But Zion Logue, they could stash him. They could call him up because honestly, guys, with Ed Alver coming back and Larry O, they may not need him later in the year and may give Mathis a shot as the season goes on. But it all depends on Ed Alver's health, but I don't think they'll mind burning it. If he's the guy that's get called up, they may burn it this week. If that's maybe a good week to burn him with Alvin Kamara, but the run reps has got to get increased. So Fedarian Mathis is a guy I watch out for this week as well.
Fedarian Mathis. Damn.
2nd round pick just 3 years ago.
We have Andy Johnson on the line. Andy, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
Going, man. What's on your mind?
Wish I didn't miss you guys last week.
Oh, it's all right, man. We'll be up there again next year.
Oh yeah, week 1 when we host the trophy.
Yes,
now
sir.
we're talking.
With the undefeated season.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna steal that away from the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
That'll just make TD's life even more horrible.
I know. He had a rough Thursday.
He handled it with grace. God bless him. He really did. That was a tough spot to be in for TD.
Oh, yeah.
It was lovely getting those updates.
Absolutely.
Hey, Dan, you got the AFC's roundtable thing saying it's starting at 6. Is it 6 or is it 7?
Starting at 6 p.m. EST. Directly after this episode.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, enjoyed listening to you guys. Talk to you later.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Andy.
sir. Shout out to Andy for coming in and showing a little bit of love. All right. Well, it's definitely, or the hype is at an all-time high, obviously. We're looking at our schedule, and now with some of the injuries that have been circulating around the league and some of the performances or teams underperforming, now the schedule even looks easier to me, right? Because like when I was looking at particular matchups, I saw the Houston Texans. I was like, yeah, like maybe that might be a loss. CJ Stroud and that offense are maybe playing some of the worst football I've seen in quite some time. All right. I'm looking at the Cincinnati Bengals, who got the doors blown off of them from Minnesota and Jake Browning. I mean, who knows if Kirk Cousins is going to be slanging the rock by that point in a couple of weeks? Doubt it. But I think my question now becomes, we already have the Ravens out of the way. Is there realistically a team that you think can threaten the Buffalo Bills' chances of getting the 1 seed? And I understand it's week 3, but as far as your confidence level, if there's any team in the AFC that might have something to say about stealing that from us, who would it be? I'm going to go ahead and give it to Jake on this one.
I think the only real concern is the Baltimore Ravens at this point in time. And yes, the Buffalo Bills, they have the tiebreaker over Baltimore after the week 1 matchup, but the Baltimore Ravens, they've still got one hell of a team. They have tough competition within the AFC North division. So they might have something to say about that. But outside of Baltimore Ravens, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, it looks like their magic's run dry from last season. I'm feeling like the Baltimore Ravens are the only real threat in the way of the number 1 seed for the Buffalo Bills. But I really like the Bills Mafia's chance. Get ready to go through the tables when we get that 1 seed.
Oh, man, I'm feeling just as confident as you, Jake. That's for sure. Kev.
You got to look just at the schedule base because we just did it with the Bills and you mentioned. And then how about the division, Dan? I mean, the Patriots are set. I mean, I didn't expect to lose many division games, but I don't think any of the 3 of them are as good as I possibly thought any of them could be. They may be worse. All 3 of them may be a tick worse than I thought they'd be. And that it already wasn't great. So that could help this phase out. You're really looking at the Eagles. Are these two teams playing for anything at that point 2 weeks before the end of the year? I mean, probably just the 1 seed, I guess, both ways. So we'll have to see how that all amounts to something. But I'm going to read you some teams. The Giants, Commanders, Dolphins, Colts, Vikings, Titans, Jags, Raiders. That's the Chargers' next games.
Oh,
damn.
I don't buy them yet. Herbert is having his Jaden Daniels, or I mean, he's obviously older. Josh Allen-like style of start that Josh had in 2020. I mean, Herbert's always been good, but it's a schedule. Like then Raiders, I guess then he's got the Cowboys, Eagles, Chiefs, Texans, Broncos again. It's a little bit harder, obviously. But I mean, the schedule's a threat. But I mean, they're probably going to come out of the Giants 4-0. I don't buy the Commanders. Obviously, we just watched the Dolphins. We'll see where they're at, if they even have Mike McDaniel at that point. Them versus the Colts could have some good meaning, at least for tiebreakers. Like, I don't know how good the Colts are going to end up being, but that could matter for seeding later on this year because that division's terrible too.
Yeah.
You got to read the Chargers' schedule, and if they can play the way that they have, they may get caught up by the Steelers possibly. I don't know. Like, it is going to be interesting because they're going to rip off a bunch of AFC wins. And that's the first tiebreaker, stupidly, in a tie scenario. It should be common opponents. I think common opponents is the best tiebreaker in this sport. It's the most accurate, and at least the divisions do common opponents. So before conference record is common opponents. But you got to worry about the Chargers just because of the schedule, and they may rack up some AFC wins. So that's going to be a little bit of but I think Jake hit it on that. It's the Ravens. Otherwise, they're good. They're really good. We'll see them tonight. We'll see how good they are. It's going to be a good test. But one game up on them isn't feeling overly great because I just think they're going to rail off some wins. And now their division, you just went over it. Their division stinks. The Bengals suck. I thought they would give them some trouble like they do. The Browns defense may give them a trouble, but they're not going to be good enough to beat the Ravens, in my opinion. So it's troublesome. And the Steelers, I guess they do split a lot. So their division's a little tougher than ours, and we have the tiebreaker. But Dan, I'm worried about the Ravens because, I mean, I just don't think anyone's going to slow them down like we could. So it's going to be a big issue for the Ravens. And I guess the Chargers, I got to go with the Chargers. And don't sleep on the Chiefs, guys. They win games down the stretch. They just do. So
yeah,
we'll see if it's still this year and they win it. So Chiefs content creators are saying same team, same O-line issues, same this and that, same slow start. They're going to rip off 10 straight. So you got to be careful of them at some point here this season, but hopefully it's changed.
And so I have no idea why it just smells like we're going to get the 1 seed and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be like the 6 seed and like beat up on the Colts. And then we welcome the Chiefs to Buffalo for the divisional.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly
the Chiefs are coming if they're a wild card.
That's probably what's going to happen.
They're going to be the 5 seed.
Honestly.
The 5 seed and beat up on the Colts. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to see. Zebot, thoughts? Who poses the biggest challenge to the Buffalo Bills for the 1 seed?
So the biggest challenge is Baltimore. They are the second best team in the AFC through 3 weeks. But here's the telltale as to how we'll be feeling about this in a blink of an eye, really. We were gung-ho about the season starting right, what felt like yesterday. Now we're 3 weeks in. So let's take a look at the next 4 weeks. Bills, Saints, Patriots, Falcons, Panthers after the bye. Those are the Bills' next 4 games. Here are the next 4 games for the Ravens. Lions, Chiefs, Texans, Rams. If the Ravens run that table, then you got to look at it and say, there's no room for error here, despite the Bills beating them week 1. I got to think they drop one of those. I think that they're going to roll the Lions tonight. Lamar does well against every NFC team. We saw the inefficiencies of that defense in week 1. I know they went and rolled the Bears in week 2, but unless you're not the Dallas Cowboys, it feels like anybody can do that against that defense. Then you got the Chiefs. Obviously, one of those teams has to lose. That's the silver lining there, right? Regardless of what happens there, one of them has to go down. The Texans are the least scoring offense in the NFL right now. I actually can't even wrap my head around it. I don't even know how that's possible, but they're still a team that I think are formidable, and the Ravens have to go up against them before going up against the Rams, who how did they lose that game yesterday? I just have no idea. What an absolute blown opportunity to really get a stranglehold on the NFC early. But I look at that window here. That's really going to define, I think, the overall outlook. Not that we don't already respect the hell out of Baltimore. We do. I certainly think that they're right there with the Bills in the AFC. But when you look at what the Bills have to do over the next month and what they have to do over the next month, I think a lot of people would sign up for the Bills to be 7-0 over that stretch. If the Ravens have one loss and it being only Buffalo after that stretch, look out. And then LA, right? We talked about LA. They've looked better than they ever have, really, under Justin Herbert through the first 3 weeks. But it's one of those teams, once again, where they were looking good towards the end of the year last year, and Houston just punked them in the second half out of nowhere in the wild card, where you're like, how is it like they couldn't do anything? I mean, I anticipate that this is a better team, another year with Harbaugh, but I just don't fully trust them. Like Kevin said, I cannot put my chips in the table on LA being the team that goes toe to toe with Buffalo for the 1 seed. And then once again, I'm looking at this. I hate to be a prisoner of maybe my own fandom or maybe some homerism or just looking ahead, but I'd be damned if I look at this schedule. I mean, like I just mentioned, the 4 games that are coming up there, the Chiefs are not beating the Bills the way that they played last night. I know that they beat the Giants, but the Giants made how many errors in that game? The pass interference right before half, a forced fumble that would have been a walk-in touchdown. They just handed it back to Mahomes. What the hell was that? That could have been an absolute backbreaker for Kansas City. So you're looking at that game. The Bills have success against the Chiefs at home in the regular season. The Dolphins again. The Bucs haven't looked good for 57 minutes of football, and then all of a sudden they turn it on and win their first 3 games. Texans, as we mentioned, worst team offensively in the league right now. The Steelers, I mean, really, what are they through the first 3 weeks? The Bengals, my God, that was embarrassing, even with Jake Browning against the Vikings. Then it's Patriots again, Browns, Eagles, Jets. If the Bills don't get the 1 seed here, fellas, the best way to put it, if the Bills don't get the 1 seed, it is 100% because of them and them alone. And I don't think anybody else is more impeding on their opportunity to get it than they themselves. If they don't get it, something within the building internally, whatever that is, will be the barrier. Outside of that, if this team continues to go the way that they're going, they're the 1 seed.
Good God, man. Good God. Folks, what to look forward to on the Bills Roundtable on Thursday is we are going to be unpacking the New Orleans Saints matchup. Things are riding high. We're 3-0. We're feeling pretty damn good right now. But there's still a lot of football left to be played, and we will make sure we keep you informed all season long. So say, for example, you are watching this live or you are watching this on the replay. All we ask is that you like this video, subscribe, and turn on bell notifications. And we will see you on Thursday. Jake, what would you like to say to the audience before we set them off?
The Buffalo Bills are 3-0. There's a lot of reason for optimism. It's a hot start. We've seen hot starts before, so let's continue the trend moving into October, November. Buffalo Bills, I like the matchups that they have had. They've got some, I hate to do it, but some cakewalk games. You've got New Orleans. You've got Atlanta, Carolina. You got some easy matchups coming up here. So the Buffalo Bills, they just got to handle business, take care of business, and the rest will work itself out. We'll see what happens with the Chiefs, the Ravens. All the rest of the AFC will let itself work out. But as long as the Buffalo Bills stay undefeated, we don't have to worry about that. And the Buffalo Bills, if they can pull off an undefeated season, no one's getting in the way of that 1 seed. So let's get it.
Damn, an undefeated season. I'm not even sure if I would like that.
I don't know if I would either.
Yeah, I don't even know. I'd rather drop 2, to be honest with you. Kev, what do you got, man? Dog to it.
Yeah, I mean, I always hate 16-point spreads. To Z-Bot's point earlier, like they're not going to not cover twice. That's pretty weird. I mean, it is a trap spread, though. Like I do think it'll be 2 possessions the whole game. Whether they score a late touchdown or something to make it 13 or 14, I mean, yeah, that's definitely on the table. The Jets almost put up some garbage time stuff. I mean, there's 30-3 most of that day. I mean, stupid stuff happens in the fourth quarter, especially if your QB's in a ball cap. So it's a tough spread for me. But Spencer Rattler, interestingly enough, 67% of his completions, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 636 yards. I mean, he's been getting some garbage-ish / decent numbers. I thought they would go to Tyler Shuck by now, and they haven't. So I don't know if that change is coming, but Saints present an interesting matchup because the one thing, I mean, I guess they kind of run the ball pretty efficiently. So you can hold it on the Jets game again, I guess, would be the one that people would point to in this game. And we'll get through it on Thursday. But Z-Bot made the best point. Some of these teams down the stretch, it'd be their own fault if they cannot get through the stretch of the Texans-Bengals stretch that looked hard. It did at one point. It really shouldn't be anymore. Between how well the Bills are playing and how bad those teams are, even their own division games down the stretch, I thought that maybe the Patriots could cause at least one havoc in one of these games. It's there to be taken. And maybe that Eagles game really is for the 1 seed each way. So maybe that does have more meaning than I originally thought if they were both locked into their spots. But there's probably a chance that both teams need it. So that maybe give us a great football game at the end of the season, rather than them both having the one locked up, because that game would become garbage when it shouldn't be. So we'll see what happens, guys. But the path is there for them officially. And I know we talked about if they were able to beat the Ravens at this point, the 1 seed's on the table. And it really is now that they were able to do that and make sure they didn't falter in those tougher division games on the road in the Jets. It's there to be taken, guys.
Damn, what do you got, Z?
There to be taken indeed. I know it's only September 22nd, but what a start to the season, and everything on the outside of the Buffalo facility has kind of panned out in their favor as well, really. I mean, not everything, but the vast majority of things. And then you're looking ahead here. You're feeling good about what's to come. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't think the Bills have played a full game yet. I don't think they've played a great game yet. They're scoring 30 points every single game. The defense very much has room for improvement. That is for sure. But I think that we'll start to see that incrementally. And the other thing too, to mention with this defense, and we talked about it in the preseason, and I guess we'll continue to talk about it until we are given an opportunity to not talk about it. But man, this is the theme: bend, but don't break. And then right when you're about to break, you turn the ball over. This Bills team, not only do they score 30 points at will, they win the turnover battle at will as well. It's unbelievable what they're doing there. The Josh Allen streak of not turning it over continues, knock on wood. And then you couple that with everybody else from special teams on down, not making any mistakes either. Then you also have at least one takeaway in each of the games thus far. And look how much of a difference that's been. The takeaway in the Baltimore game, Bills don't win without it. The takeaway in the takeaway in the Dolphins game, and maybe it's not as easy, or maybe it's a different outcome, right? I mean, maybe the Dolphins score on that drive. Who knows what goes on from there? So for as much as we look at the inefficiencies of this defense, it's so hard because in the big moments, man, more often than not, they make a play, they step up, they make it happen, and that's really all you can ask for. Did you win the game? Yes. That's what the Buffalo Bills are doing. So 3-0. Can't beat it. And Saints around the corner, 16.5-point favorite at home. So that's what you have to look forward to.
Some final wrap-up thoughts. Bills are number 1 in the league in penalties. Did you know that?
No, really?
There's a change from everyone's like, what's different about the Bills this year? Their run block win rate, number 2 in the NFL. They've always had a good running game, but not necessarily a great running scheme. With Jackson Hawes and some of the 13 personnel, they're one of the best running teams and number 1 in yards. They have a lot of good things coming into the playoffs. That Josh Allen, I've heard it in the Ravens game. We heard it a little bit. He doesn't have to put on the cape.
Wait, they're the least penalized team.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, wow. Got it.
Yeah, best.
Least penalized team, dude.
I did not know that.
Yeah, like narratives continue to die. But all right, folks.
In sacks allowed, obviously. I mean, no turnovers. Knock on wood. Like, guys, that's winning football when you don't need your quarterback to do the fourth quarter Ravens. And when we needed it, he did it. Yep. So he did it in the fourth quarter Ravens, which is epic. And then 2 straight games of winning football that will translate. The fourth quarter cape we have seen not translate. The last 2 games we have seen will translate. So no penalties. Special teams has been pretty good. A little bit of lapse against the Dolphins. And ultimately the no penalties and no turnovers, second in sacks allowed. So like those are transferable stats.
Folks, this is a different team out there. Narratives continue to die. Can we actually get over the hump? Folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on Thursday. I'll see you over at the AFC's roundtable here in about 9 minutes. Peace.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.